Hey, what's up, everybody? Tekken 7 Season 2 has just announced the rest of all of its characters, and Armor King and Marduk were made available right away. So we're going to start today by taking a look at Armor King. He seems like he's almost exactly like his previous version in Tag 2. Couple little tweaks, gave him a few more improved things to work with. But I want to start with the major difference between him and the other King. I think is just kind of their approach to the game. They do have a lot of similar tools, and there's several things they have that are the same. But whereas King functions as a pretty good rushdown character, his jabs, elbows, pokes have really good frame advantage. He kind of keeps on you and sets you up for his throws. He's good at ducking and punishing these things. He's got really good tools for that. But I think Armor King is a little more keep out character, and he's not keeping you out because he lacks defense. He's keeping you out because he wants to come at you with his own attacks. He's got really good long-range attacks, really good approaching moves, including a wave dash. And some of it can be a little bit riskier when he goes for, like, an approaching mix-up, but his rewards are super, super high. He's still pretty solid defensively. His punishment game is good, but maybe not quite where other King is. I just think he's a little flashier, a little more acrobatic, and a little bit more risk reward oriented. So as always, let's start with punishers. Every character has them, every character needs them. There's nothing out of the ordinary here, a pretty straightforward set. 10 frames, Armor King has 1-2. 1-2-1 is not a natural combo, so you don't want to do that in a punish situation at all. 12 frames is back 1+2. This one is super good because that back one has got a really sneaky range. This is an excellent 12 frame punisher to have. Ton of advantage on hit. You can see how they're still doubled over as you return to normal. No knockdown, but really good frame advantage, which is almost as good. 14 frames, he has the shoulder with forward 1+4. That's usually your go-to option. He also has down back 2-4. This should be 14 frames on startup. I don't think I calculated that yet, but it's a little shorter. Your risk is about the same because if you're wrong, they can duck that and launch you, just like they can block and launch you for the shoulder. So really the shoulder is fine. If you know you got a 14, hit him with the shoulder. That's all you need to worry about. If not, you can always just punish everything with this back one too, because it's really good. And if you are wrong, it's only -12 itself, so you don't pay the price that bad. 15, he's got a hop kick with up forward 4. If the hop kick doesn't reach, which is common because it's kind of stubby, he has forward 2-1. That's 15 frames as well. Nice damage in the knockdown. For low blocking, his while standing 4 is the typical 11 frames. While standing 2 is 12 frames, even though it's less damage. This is just used to fish for counter hits. It's not good as a punisher. You really want to stick to 4. That's all you really got. When it comes to launching, he has a hop kick because it's an up input. You can do it from full crouch. He has the hop kick at 15, and he also has a while standing 1. This is an elbow, natural launcher. You could use that just as well. It's also kind of stubby range, so you got to be really sure if you're going to block something that's in the area of -15 or 16 that you're not late and you don't, push yourself out of range with it. So be a little bit careful. Diving into Armor King's move lists, let's start with the neutral buttons. He has 1-2-1. I mentioned earlier, this isn't a natural combo. The only thing that's good about it is you can delay that one a little bit. So if you're just, punch all day and they're going to try to press buttons to take their turn, you can kind of catch them off guard with that. It's safe on block if you're wrong, so there's no real harm in doing it, but you're really just giving up your advantage. If they block, it's definitely their turn. 2-1 is basically the second and third hit of that string. Also delayable a little bit. It's up to you just to kind of keep them fresh with it. 1-2 punches, and every so often throw them delayable. His 3 is this high kick to the face that knocks them down. But this is -14 on block, which for a high is pretty rare. I can't think of a reason why you'd ever want to use this. It's just not that good for the risk that you're going to take. If they know that it's 14, you just take too much damage for just going for what's a useless hit. So standing 3, useless. Standing 4 is much better. This is a magic 4. It's on the slower side. It's 13 or 14 on startup, not like 12 or anything, but it is a combo starter because of that new screw attack. So he does have a magic 4, which is also a good thing. No matter what, it's a good thing. It's just not one of the best magic 4s. It's a decent one. He has 1+2 which is this little swing, and he's got 3 options out of it. 1 plus 2, 2 is mid-high. This is a natural combo. It's safe on block, but they can duck that high if they block the first part of it. 1 plus 2, 4 is mid-mid, so they can't duck that. But this is minus 14 on block. So you're going to take the risk either way. If you're going to just throw this out, they're going to make the read on ducking, and if they're right, they launch you. And if they stand there and block, they hit you with a 14. So pretty risky for getting very little out of it. It's, you know, it's a decent amount of damage in the knockdown, but again, the risk is very high. There's plenty of other things you could use to mix people up with. What you might want to consider doing is just, you know, every so often use it, because if you catch them on a counter hit with the second part, you get a combo. So that's the only thing that's really good for, is if they get antsy and press buttons in the middle of your stuff and, you know, you kind of fool them into that, you can catch a counter hit combo. But like I said, there's other things that you could fish for rather than that. Your third option is 1 plus 2 and hold back. This is what you're going to use probably more often than anything else. Mainly because people won't be used to it. People will be waiting for the second hit follow-up and reacting to that. Whereas if you just stop and turn around, you know, you have plenty of choices. Hit them with the low. Use some of your other options that way. You got things you can do just by fooling them, and that's a big thing with this character, is doing somewhat crazy things to keep them guessing and not going for risky stuff without having a big reward set up. So 1 plus 2 is not super good out in the open. It's good in combos, but your mix-up is pretty strong in their favor. The back turn cancel is decent. That's probably the best way to use it. 3 plus 4 is this round out. Now, he used to only have 2 options. 1, that mid body press. This is not a natural combo. They'll be able to block that. But this is a natural combo. 3 plus 4 followed by 2. Also a mid. That elbow knocks down. Damage is pretty good. If they block it, you will end up on the ground in front of them, and they can hit you for free. But it's not like a terrible punish. It's just, it's not, you know, completely safe. This is worth doing just to kind of, you know, you see them running at you. This has surprisingly good range. It can stop them pretty quick. But the new option here, instead of pressing a follow-up button, is just to hold a 3 plus 4. You get that. He lands on them, turns into a throw, which is untechable. They cannot break that throw. They have to duck in the middle of this part. Or sometimes they can walk forward and go under you. There are kind of ways to avoid it, but you have to avoid it. You cannot break that throw. So once you get them to start ducking on you, that really legitimizes the body press and the flying elbow. Both become a lot more useful when they have to live in fear of ducking that hit. So that's a new move that really, really kind of ties the room together for the round out. These were sort of just style moves with a lot of risk. Now they are definitely legitimate. The damage is good, and the situation is really good. The other neutral button that he has is 1 plus 4, which is the Moonsault. Turns around and flips over with the unblockable. This is not super useful out in the open, but it's really best at the end of combos, at the wall. You splat them, you knock them down, and then you just do this right on top of them. It's really hard for them to avoid it. It's good for combo resets near the wall, but that's about it. Armor King's forward input moves are all pretty good, because I feel like the character is designed to be moving forward. He works well when he starts out here, and he comes flying at your ass with his clotheslines and his big kicks and knockdowns and all that stuff. He's good at coming in at you with his offense, and then getting back out to start over again. So his forward moves are all pretty good, and they fit this job well. First off is forward 2-1, which has really good range, covers the ground, knocks them down. This you have to hit confirm. They can duck that follow-up hit and launch you for it, just like they could in the old game, but even if you didn't in the last game, this was minus 11 and they could punish you. They did make it safe, like they did for regular King when they gave him this move, but you can still duck. So you got to learn to hit confirm this move, otherwise you will get ducked, because he doesn't have a mid option the way regular King does too. So they gave this to King when Armor King wasn't in the game, and they made it way, way better, but when they bring Armor King back, they didn't get that much better. So learn this hit confirm. Still a really good move once you do. Forward 3-4-3 looks like this, and you should pretty much forget that that third hit ever exists. These two are going to connect. That third hit, you're never going to land it, and people are going to duck it because it's a high. It's just not worth even trying to go for. Just stick to forward 3-4 and be done with it. It is a screw attack, but you're not really ever going to use it as such. It's just, there's better options for it. So forward 3-4 and be done with it, and you're good. Forward 4 is one of King's better moves. It's not terribly fast in the startup, it's 23 frames, but it's not slow enough they can get out of the way or anything on demand. This is +2 on block, which is a really nice adventure to have, because you can pretty much continue whatever offense you want from that point, throw out a jab, whatever it might be. When it comes to a juggle situation, this also causes a spike, which they can't tech roll, so they're forced to stand up into your next mix-up. So a really cool move with some good utilities. The block advantage is nice, as well as its combo advantage, pretty good. Forward 1+2 is Armor King's only Power Crush move. This used to be a Sabaki parry that would eat up punches in the last game, but now it eats everything with the armor properties that Power Crush has, except for lows and throws. The knockdown in front is pretty good. You don't get anything for free, but you get, you know, the advantageous situation. So the knockdown is good. However, since they changed it from just absorbing punches to absorbing everything, they made it worse on block. This used to be -10. Despite the block stun being significant, they still recover faster, but now it's 14. So as far as mid power crushes go, that's on the higher end of being punishable without a great reward. So it works like power crushes do, it's just... it's not a great one. If he had a high power crush to work with, I can understand this one being punishable, but it is what it is. If you need a power crush, it's there. And forward 1+4 is the shoulder that we covered, his 14 frame Punisher. -17 on block, they're going to launch you forward if you're wrong, if they're attentive. You don't want to just be throwing this out. Like, if you know for a fact they're going to come at you after a frame trap like that, you can do it, but it's risky. I would advise sticking to something else like this and hit confirming it. But it's there. So those are his forward attacks. There's only a couple there, but the ones that are there are good. The piston punches is great, the overhead kick is really good, and shoulder's a good Punisher. Down forward inputs are usually mid pokey type tools, and Armor Kings definitely work that way too. Down forward 1 is a pretty generic down forward 1, slightly above average if anything. 13 frames, mid poke. Down forward 2-1 looks like that. A little elbow strike into a quick punch. This is another one where I would pretend that the 1 doesn't exist. Down forward 2 by itself is still a pretty good move. It's -12. It can get punished, but it generally won't because they fear the existence of the 1 follow-up. If you're going to do this all day and they are going to start punishing you, then you do have the 1 to keep them honest from that. But by and large, I think this down forward 2 is a pretty good move just to use by itself, because on counter hit, you get the forward 4 for free. And if they get up wrong, you get really good Oki too. So down forward 1 is a pretty good move. The only reason, or down forward 2, excuse me, is a pretty good move. The only reason to do the 1 extension is to keep them honest if they're going to start punishing you. Down forward 3 is one of his best overall moves. This is only 17 frame startup, so it's relatively fast. It's mid, it's a knee, so it can be parried in reverse. It's safe on block, and it's a counter hit launcher. You don't really need to know too much more than that. That's one of the best moves that he has, all around really, really good. Down forward 4 is a generic mid poke like you would expect. It's just not that good. I feel like if you need a mid poke, you're better off to just do that, the down forward 3, because you might get a combo out of the deal. As well as back 4, I think is just better, period, which we'll get to in just a second. So down forward 4 is there, but I think there's better options to use instead of it. Down forward 1+2 is this. A little bit evasive, he moves to the side, and then hits you with a safe mid homing move that knocks you down. Those are all really good words to hear right in a row. This is an excellent move. It's not terribly fast, but if you're going to use this thing, they're stuck. They got to deal with that. Because one of the most common ways to avoid frame traps is to sidewalk out of it. This is good for stopping that. So down forward 1+2 is a really good move. I like it a lot. It's his only mid homing move, and it's also safe, which is a nice plus. His last down forward input is down forward 3+4, the Frankensteiner. This is an attack throw, technically, because you see the bubble is green where it says middle. This is a special mid. What that means is you can block it low or high. But in this case, if you were standing high, it turns into this throw. You get hit with the Frankensteiner. You cannot tech this. The opponent is set to tech throws. Right there. Doesn't work. You can't tech this throw. You have to duck it. So what happens when you duck it is you just, you just block the impact. Because it's a special mid, you can block it high or low. So in this case, you block low, Just to block, nothing happens. But if you're standing, it converts into a throw and catches you that way. So you get punished a little bit for this, but it's not the end of the world. It's a cool throw. It's one of the situations that works really well for waking an opponent up. He has a couple of things that when you say you knock them down after a wall combo, you want to wake up with something like this because they're not ready to duck it on reaction. Same with using this. And you want to, capital punishment, lands right on top of them. Stuff like this are really good wake-up tools. Frankensteiner's one of them. They just weren't ready for it, and it catches them. With down inputs, we get a lot of variety here. Not all downs turn out to be lows. There's some really interesting things that are going on here. Starting off with down 1, neutral 4. There, it's not super easy to do. You have to make sure you let go of the down, or else it doesn't work. What this does is a duck jab, which goes under highs, beats a lot of moves, and follows up with that knee for an extra little chunk of damage. This is not safe. It's -10 on block. But its primary purpose is when you think they're about to counter poke you, they're kind of harassing you with stuff like this, all of a sudden you just boom and get out of it. Duck jab, a little extra damage. It's not always worth the damage if you're just going to throw it out constantly. You'll get jab punished by Mishimas and stuff like that. It's just there as a kind of a get-off-me tool. It's pretty good, but it's not great. There are a couple of other evasive moves you can try here. This is just one of them. You want to use all of the moves like this in harmony so you don't get predictable. Let's down 1, neutral 4. Down 2 is this. And this changed a little bit from the previous game. On counter hit, this used to knock you down on the ground. In this game, you can see they just kind of stun a little bit. You don't get anything for free, though. They should be able to block everything, as far as I know. They're in a stun, but they are able to block. See? They can just stand up and immediately block that. So you get a huge amount of frame advantage on counter hit, but other than that, you don't get a knockdown. What's interesting is this now has a follow-up, down 2, 4, 3. Looks like that. Not a natural combo whatsoever. Even if the 2 is a counter hit with this huge amount of block stun, or of hit stun, still doesn't connect. That still will get blocked. It's not a natural combo at all. So I don't really see any practical purpose to this. If you just do this all day and use this as a poke tool like you used to in the old game, then I suppose if you think they're going to get antsy and press a button, you can let them rip with this. The second 2 hits by themselves are a natural combo. That and that is a natural combo. So I guess it's good for that, to keep them from pressing buttons against your down 2, but it's not a great way to keep them honest. The string itself isn't that bad. It's not a natural combo. It's mid. And the last hit will force him to crouch and is only -11. So the worst that's going to happen to you is maybe getting stuffed with a jab. I think they can interrupt you right there, maybe. Or they just hit you with a while standing 4. So the risk isn't that bad. It's just not a very good move. It's like a brand new thing that they didn't really seem like they thought out very well. There's not a different option in there or anything. It's just kind of, that's a thing now and not much else. You could really stick to down 2 just by itself. Forces crouch and is only -1 on block. Still a really good move. They just kind of tweaked it a little bit for better or for worse. Down 3 and down 4 are your primary low poking tools. Can't ask for too much more than these. Down 4 is going to crush eyes. This down 3 leaves you standing. It's only -12 on block, +1 on hit. That's a tremendous tool. Can't get enough of stuff like that. With a better than average basic down 4. Combine those with down 3 + 4. This guy that has phenomenal range. That's a really, really good set of low poking tools. Down 3 + 4 is excellent. Crushes even more. This gets really low. That's going to go under some mids for you. This has 2 extensions. Down 3 + 4, 3. Don't ever do that one. And down 3 + 4, 1, which is brand new, but I wouldn't do it either. Basically what it is a check for people. You're going to make them duck by doing this move. That's what it was designed for. You only ever had this, the mid option. So they used to just wait for you to do that and hop kick you if you ever decided. Now in this game, you have this, which is safe on block, so nothing happens, but they're going to want to start ducking that. A player who's going to be proactive on defense is going to try to duck this move if you do it all day and launch you for it. So in order to prevent them from ducking, now you can unleash that mid. This is another situation, like I mentioned earlier, where you just don't want to do that. The mix-up is there, but the rewards for them in both situations are a full combo. The rewards for you are almost nothing. I really don't think it's worth ever doing these follow-ups. This one, maybe once in a blue moon, just because if they do nothing, you're okay. This one is an obvious punish if they do nothing. Stay away. Down 3+4, just as a poke by itself, I think is way better because you also stay crouching and you can just do it again, which is way more valuable. Getting into the crouch state with the tools that he has, way better than anything you get by these follow-ups. So pretend those don't exist. Down 3, down 4, and down 3+4. Great low poking tools. The last one is even the most like unique because it has better crush and the follow-up options from crouch are better. Built-in follow-ups are trash. He has down 1+2, which is the corporate elbow. This is really for hitting opponents that are on the ground. It's not great for anyone standing. It's mostly just for style points. There's better options for almost everything, but it's corporate elbow. You're going to want to hit people with that. Look how cool that looks. Boom, right in the face. Like, that's just one of the best style moves that he has. You're going to want to work it in. It's just not a practical move. Just one of those intimidation factors. You don't want to get elbow dropped on. You feel like a clown when that happens to you. So that's there just for the flash more than the substance. His last down input move is down 1+4 or 2+3. Either one gives you the same thing. That is this shadow step. Did that by accident. Shadow step isn't really practical. It does this. It's very quick to get under highs like that, but the only thing he has is that. This spear tackle is the only move that comes out of it. So you think, well, what's the point of that? They're just going to stand there when that happens. The point is this stance can also go into crouch dash. If you just do down 1+4 and then down 4, you'll get crouch dash options out of it. That's a lot more dangerous. There's plenty of good stuff in the crouch dash. Also not a low, but if he just does this and nothing, he goes into crouch and can hit you with a low there. So what this shadow step does is get you under a high real quick, and if you want to just go for the tackle, you can, or you can just stay under the high, go into crouch, and use your full crouch game, the low ankle kick or the while standing stuff, or you can go into a crouch dash and use your big, heavy knockdown attacks, your plus frame highs and your big knockdown mids. So you have a lot of options coming out of that, just starting from the shadow step. The shadow step is just there to open up those two paths for you. It's not great on its own. It only has the one option, but if you keep doing this and you keep going into crouch dash options on them, they're going to get tired of that and they're going to try to do something about it. So that's when you do the fastest thing, which is the tackle. So it's an interesting tool. The risks are pretty minimal. You don't really lose anything other than just opening up your offense is all it is good for. So you want to use this. It's not, damn, I keep getting that on accident. It's not super practical on its own. What's nice about this game is they gave him a couple of attacks that cancel into this to make it even more useful to get into, and you get the better stuff coming out of it. So shadow step, the stance he has on a down 1+4. Wow. Am I just hitting that quickly? Or that cleanly? Down 2. I'm going to stick to down 2+3 just in case, so I don't screw that up. Down 2+3 to shadow step. Tackle. His down back inputs are also pretty decent on average. There's a couple really good ones and there's a couple weak ones. Down back 2-3 is this, which was never a good move and still not a good move in this game. It's a mid that knocks you down. This is not a natural combo. They can block that mid. It is -16, so a lot of characters are going to hurt you pretty bad for that. Why would you ever do this? You shouldn't. The only reason why that becomes even slightly more legitimate now is because they added, you guessed it, a high extension. Down back 2-4 is this. This is a natural combo. Decent damage, the spin away, wall splats. This is a pretty good move, but if they block it and start ducking that high, you're going to get in trouble. So what happens when they start ducking your high? Mid extension. It's another one of those, keep them honest with your mix-up tools. In this case, the rewards for you are a little bit better than in the previous cases. The risks are still bad. They're definitely bad. You can do this. It reminds me a lot of Feng in Tekken 7 now, where using his down back 1+2 was a good tool, but now they gave him down back 1-4, which is safe on block. So Feng players are doing that like crazy because they don't have to worry about getting punished. It's a high that they can duck, and until players get used to ducking that high, Feng gets away with it. And once they do start ducking, he switches back to down back 1-2, catches them with the mid. This is the exact same scenario. You're going to get away with murder by doing this against people because they're not going to have the muscle memory to duck the high just yet. So once they do start ducking that, you have to keep it honest with the mid kick or just doing nothing right there and stop. So this is a decent move, but it will get exploited after a while. You have a backup, so just be wary that this isn't a go-to for everything. The risks are still kind of high. It just has slightly better rewards, so it might be worth toying with this a little bit. That's the down back 2 sequence. Down back 3 is this big sweep. This is a decent move. When it comes to snake edge type attacks, this one only launches on counter hit. And it's very, very negative on block. It doesn't knock them down at all on a normal hit, but it's got tremendous crush properties. This is going to go through all kinds of things. This is another one of those options for the get off of me defensive situation. Instead of, moves like that, you could try to use this and it'll go under some of their attacks. You might get lucky, catch that counter hit, get yourself a combo. Otherwise, it is seeable. An opponent can physically see that move, block it, and launch you. So be very, very careful. Down back 4 is another low attack that is probably a little bit more practical to use. And low crushes itself because he takes to the air first, and then he drop kicks you low. If it hits, they fall on the ground in front of you, and Armor King stands back up. If they block it, Armor King stays on the ground while they're standing. That kind of, to me, encapsulates this whole character. The idea that if it works, you're standing, looking good, and they're on the ground hurting. And if it doesn't work, you're the one that's on the ground in big, big trouble. In this case, it's not that big of trouble. You're going to get punished, but I just feel like that's kind of a decent metaphor. If this keeps working all day, everything feels good. You knock them down, all the things are going right. They start blocking this, it's just like, man, I can't do anything right. So that's a pretty good low all around. It's got good range on it too because he leaps forward so far. And it crushes other lows, which is also kind of neat. His other and final down back input is down back 1+2. Which is this stomping headbutt. This is a really good move all around. It's not terribly fast. 26 frames is slow. Technically, it's slow enough to react to, but I don't know what they're going to do about it. I really don't think they're going to sidestep you in this amount of time. It's a mid, and this is +4 or more on block. I couldn't really find out for certain if it was 5 or 6, but it's definitely 4. So if you were to do, say, forces them to crouch, I believe, on block. No, it doesn't. It just pushes them back. So being +4, you could go for a mid, a 13 frame mid, and there's nothing they can do to stop you. If you went for a shoulder even, it would trade, which would still be in your advantage in that situation. There's lots of things that you could do. It's basically free offense for you being +4, and there's not much else they can do about it. If for some reason you feel like they are starting to react to it and they are starting to get a read on it, you can press down immediately and cancel into that shadow step we just talked about. So this is a great move all around. You can't do this enough. The range is just stupid. Oops, on how far it can reach. Look at that. Huge amount of range on that thing. But if you need it, and even maybe just to do it sometimes, down back and then hold down to cancel it into shadow step. So they get, wise to what you're doing. You cancel it, you go low, and then you hit them with something like that. Plenty of options there. So that's a really, really good move. Remember that one too. Moving on to back inputs, we start with back 1-2. We mentioned at the top that this is his 12 frame Punisher, and it's a really good one. The range on it is very sneaky. You'd be surprised how many things this can actually punish on block. If you just throw out back 1 by itself until you get a good feel for it, then you can let it rip with the whole thing. -12, so you don't want to just use the whole thing in neutral, as well as the fact is back 1 by itself is a counter hit launcher. It's a little different. I'm not quite comfortable with doing it yet in this game. You do something like that and pick them up with it. But anyway, if you did back 1-2 in neutral and you got the counter hit, you'll miss out on the combo. So in neutrals, just stick to back 1 by itself, fish for that counter hit, and for punishment, back 1-2. Back 2-1-2 looks like this. Now you see it causes that automatic screw attack, but it's only if they get hit by the whole thing. This you can sort of counter hit confirm. You do back 2-1, which by itself is like -11. If you just keep doing this, they can punish you, but they do have to respect the fact that this third hit is coming. And they know that third hit is a high, and they want to duck it really bad. So you don't give them that opportunity, you just do back 2 once. What you can do is when you throw this out, you watch what they were doing. If you saw them press a button or start to hop kick or something like that, you know this is going to land as a counter hit, you let the whole thing rip. It's technically not counter hit confirming, but it's kind of the way that I think about it. I saw they were doing something and I know it's going to be a counter hit, so I let the whole thing go. Dragunov does this with Death March. There's lots of situations like this. In this case, you have to do it here, so when you let that third hit go, you get a whole combo. If you let it go without confirming it, they get a whole combo. So definitely learn that skill. Back 3, the toe kick looks like that. This is 15 or 16 frames, I'm not sure. You get the knockdown, and you get a micro dash into shoulder. A little tough to do, there it goes. You're basically hitting them in the feet as their feet land with your shoulder. 45 damage is a grip for a move with range like this. Armor King, I think, is the character that wants to play out here and then come at you with big boot stuff like that. So when they approach you, this is one of your good keep out tools. We talked about the round out kick earlier. You'd be surprised how far away this hits them when they come at you. This is another one of those tools that keeps them back there. They're going to regret coming in when they keep catching that move unawares. They're going to have to run in block to keep themselves safe. So back 3 is really good. This is a high. They can duck if you're going to, use it as a pokey up close game. I think it's more practical to use it from out here, but either way, it's a really good move all around. Back 4 doesn't have quite the range that it does, and this is a mid, and it doesn't knock them down unless you do the just frame follow-up, which I cannot do on a D-pad. Let me set the button real quick. Maybe that helps. Oh well. So basically what you're doing is you're doing back 4 and then 1+2 as soon as it makes contact. It's a very, very short window. Looks like that. You don't have to have a counter hit or anything like that. This works every time. You'll get the Stone Cold Stunner for free. So this turns into a mid poke for 35 damage and the knockdown. That's a really, really good tool. You can't get enough of that. It's not superior range, but it's pretty good range. And basically what I would just do is just tap 1+2 twice, just pop, right as it's about to land. I'm playing on a D-pad right now and I'm not good at it. So learn that too. That's a pretty specific timing, but it's actually kind of mashy. You can just do the kick and pop a couple times, it'll come out. So back 4 to the stunner is really good. Remember that one too. Back 1+2 is this shove, which is also one you're going to want to remember. This is a great all-around move. Relatively fast, it's a mid. It's only -1 on block, which is very good for as practical as this move is. You're going to want to use this a lot, and they're not going to be able to do anything about it. The main reason you want to use this is for counter hit. You can see how they get hit. Their head kind of snaps back real quick, but if it's a counter hit, look how their whole body reacts. Their arms flail up in the air. You should be able to visually read that. As soon as you see their arms, that is free. It scales, you don't get the max damage off of it, but nonetheless, for this kind of move that you can just sort of shove out, once you see that it's a counter hit, boom, toe kick, that's also free. You get all this damage for free, and really it gets you the wall splat more than anything. That's, kind of what you're looking forward to. Because when you catch that counter hit near the wall, you can just oppress them with this all day. Just do this over and over again in front of the wall. As soon as you catch that counter hit, boom. Free damage and the splat and everything. So back 1-2 is really good. The counter hit frame advantage is 15. You can't hop kick because it won't reach. Technically, you should be able to dark upper, but I have not been able to do it. I'm not seeing anyone do it yet either. There might be some weird caveat with that. But at 15, this is free. So counter hit, confirm that move. You're going to get a lot of mileage out of it. Back 1+4 is this. He takes a little bit of a step to the side and pops him with that mid punch. You do this, you also get a shoulder for free, I believe. Yeah, like that. This isn't the best move, but it's still pretty good. It's evasive, it's very slow. But if they see you doing this, they're just going to stand there and block, and they get like a jab punish. It's -10, I believe. But if you happen to catch them doing something, it's got a bit of evasion to it. It fits in that repertoire of the down 1-4s and the down back 3s. The stuff that you use when you think they're going to come at you, you try to avoid it by doing stuff like that. So that's a decent move, and you do get good damage from it. But it's just not the best. His other back input, this was 1+4. Its counterpart is 2+3. Looks like that. You very rarely see those button combos in Tekken, that's why I kind of associate them together. 1+4 and 2+3 are kind of reserved for special occasions. But in this case, back 2+3 is this unblockable. The startup is 5.5 minutes long. You're never going to hit anybody with it, but you can press down and cancel like that. So I guess it's more of like a taunt than anything else. You're going to, you know, kind of bait them into holding their ground real quick and then go after them. I don't know. Just like any other unblockable, they don't have a lot of purpose in the game in this day and age. So let's move on to up inputs. The only relevant input he has for up back is this. Up back 1 is a high homing move with other follow-up potentials. We've seen a couple things where you get a shoulder for free. This is one of them. You get that shoulder. But this one is even so much better. Forward, forward 4 is free for a little bit more damage. This is an excellent all-around move. Sidesteps, it's got the built-in evasion, safe on block, it's a homing move, and does massive amount of damage. The only drawback is it being a high. If they happen to catch a duck, you'll get punished for it, but otherwise this move is really good. Up, back 1, write that one down. Up with 2, forward and backwards, they all, you know, he'll travel forward or go straight up, is this big flying elbow. Never really going to hit anybody with this. It's one of those ones just like the corporate elbows, mainly for style. Regular King can actually use this from his Rage Drive. His Rage Drive is like a double axe handle punch that spikes him into the ground. And it spikes him so hard, he can do this straight up and land on him. They can't get away from it in time. Armor King doesn't have anything like that I'm aware of. So you're going to kind of have a hard time hitting people with that. It's just more of like a throwback to the old games where it's always been there. It's just not great. So that's up forward 2. Cool move to look at, but not a useful move in general. Up forward 3 is, however, is super useful. This is a lot like his down forward 3 that we talked about earlier. Great mid, safe, counter hit Fisher. This is the same thing, plus it low crushes. He's in the air, he'll go completely over lows and counter hit that way. This is a really, really good all-around move. Not as fast as down forward 3, but it's worth it for the low crush. So it fits together pretty well. You can use both of these in your neutral game and get a lot of mileage. Up forward 4 is the hop kick. Pretty basic hop kick, relatively stubby range. I'd say it's just slightly below average compared to the others. It's decent, does the job. It's good, you know, sidestep, boom, launch, that's all you need. Up forward 1+2 is capital punishment. This is a pretty good launcher all around. It is on the slower side. They can, you know, kind of get out of the way of it. If they were already moving laterally, you're gonna miss clean. But if you just start it up, it's kind of hard. Its best purpose, I think, is for waking them up. If they're going to stand up on the ground and you're already midair, ready to come down on them, it's going to be hard for them to avoid it. This thing's best feature is it forces them to crouch and is +2. So you could always, this down forward 1 would not be beatable. Their fastest move, they cannot stop you from doing this. Which is fortunate because even if it does hit, that's what you follow up with. So you can pretty much do this and then this no matter what. And you're going to either continue the combo or keep your pressure on them. Capital punishment is a really good move. If you press down, I forget, is that how it works? I forget there's an unblockable version. There it is. Oh, just hold the buttons. If you do up forward 1+2 but hold the buttons, you get that. Now this, on the other hand, compared to this elbow, is good for a lot of situations where you could say, you know, do the screw attack and then just do this so they wake up and that lands right on them. That's actually a legitimate tech trap in a lot of situations. If they're not ready, that can really catch them off guard. The reason why it works is it's unblockable. This normal elbow is not. So you also turn around. That's what the hold down is. You do up forward 1+2, hold the buttons, and you press down, and he turns around to catch them. So that's in there. That's a nice little quirk to have. Capital punishment is pretty good all around. The unblockable version is a nice little gimmick to add some spice to it. The final jumping move is up forward 3+4, these scissor kicks. I don't think you get anything from this. I've not been able to figure out how. They seem to fly in the air pretty hard, but I don't think there's anything you can do. I'm really not sure about that. It's just one of those style point moves, sends them flying. Cool way to end a round, maybe. It's just a fun thing. There might be some tech out there I have not figured. Oh, you can tech roll. Dragunov has something very similar to this, where he does the same thing. He does that drop kick, but he can tech roll himself when he hits the ground, stand up and combo you. I don't know what to do here. I see now that you can do that, but you still don't seem to get up in time to do anything. If I find a combo for this, I'll add it to the notes in the description later on. Other than that, it's just another cool, like, wrestling style move. It's fun to have around. So on to other inputs that Armor King has. First off, as I mentioned earlier, his forward advancing moves are really where he shines. He wants to be out here and come at you with the big bang and shit like that. So all of his forward moves turn out to be really good. They're not great, but you take some risks, but they're style moves. They look cool. They do damage. They're what keep the opponent a little bit scared of you. Forward 2 is this mid gut punch. Not as much damage, I feel like, as it used to be, but it does knock down, and it's only -11. That's a decent move overall, especially because you can do forward neutral 2, which is a low, and it looks like that. That's the exact same move. That's a mid, that's a low. Like, I don't know what the hell you're supposed to do there, I really don't. If you happen to stand there and do nothing and you block the mid, you do get a small -11 punish, but the neutral 2, the forward neutral 2, that launches you on counter hit, so you don't want to challenge Armor King when he's coming at you, necessarily. You can, but that's what he wants. He wants to come flying at you and just scare you into doing something wrong. So forward 2, mid, forward neutral 2, low. Look at the phantom range on that too, by the way. Like, I'm nowhere near him and it's still hitting you. Phantom hitbox, great move. Forward 3 is a high kick. This is homing. It's also a screw attack, which you're never going to use it for. Maybe if, like, Akuma jumps at you and you happen to hit him with that, yay, free screw attack. This used to give you a free throw attempt. Well, still does. That's free. They can break the throw. You can mix it up by doing the other throw. Like, this was in the last game. You could do that to them, and they had to guess the throw break, right? Still really good. They get hit by this, and you get the possible throw damage. What was that, 53 damage? That was really good. This game, however, this is a launcher now. You get tons of shit off of that. That's even better. It's still +1 on block, too, which is the nice part about it. It's a high. Yes, it's a high that can be ducked, but it's not a reactable high. And if they just stand there and do nothing, you get the +1 for it. Really good overall move. You also can hold down afterward, shadow step. That's a nice little option, too. If it did connect and you did shadow step, you're going to wish you hadn't because you'll miss out your combo. I don't think you can confirm the block and then go into shadow step. So you kind of take the guess right there. But either way, it's one of the ones they added for him to get into shadow step. If you're going to assume your opponent's been just blocking all day, they're not going to get hit by random stuff, you can assume they'll block that and then use the shadow step, and it's mix-ups there. Forward 3, really good. Plus on block, combo starter, homing. Forward 4, not as good. This is another mid. Damage is a little bit better than the gut punch. Not a lot, but this is -14. That is pretty unfortunate, considering here, that's his wall bounce. His wall bounce is one of the weaker ones because of that, I believe. It does good damage, and you can wave dash into it. Range is good, etc., but -14 is pretty bad. Especially when regular King here is like +2 on his wall bounce. Go figure. But decent move. The trade-off is the block punishment, but it's a good move overall in spite of that. And Armor King kind of has to play that way. You got to take some of these little risks just because it's worth using all the tools that you have. You're going to bother them into making mistakes by using all this stuff. They're going to get hit by things. They're going to be intimidated by some of your bigger attacks. They'll slip up. They're not going to play clean against you all day if you keep it up on them. So you don't have to worry too much about getting punished on everything like that. Forward 1+2 is this big lunging elbow. Pretty much the same as you get from the round out. If it gets blocked, you lay on the ground, but he kicks back up. So you should more or less be okay from punishment damage. You might get caught by some stuff, but for the most part, it's pretty good. That's a decent move. It is a mid, too. It might look like it's super high in the air, but that's a mid elbow. Low crushes, jumps over him completely. Decent move. Forward 3+4 is an even more damage, high version of it. He does this spinning drop kick to the teeth and it lands on the ground afterward. Again, if they block it, you're on the ground and you could take some damage. But you don't have to worry about that damage. It's worth getting kicked while you're on the ground for hitting your opponent with this. They're going to be thinking about that all day long. They're going to be thinking about how bad that hurt, and they don't want to get hit by it again. So those are all his forward moves. Very, very good arsenal of stuff in there, especially the combination of this low, forward neutral 2, and everything else is with it. And the high that's a launcher now, great stuff. The other advantage of these forward moves is they can be done out of wave dashing, like Mishima's do. Since Armor King has this conventional crouch dash, he can do that. So let's take a look at his crouch dash moves. I'm not going to go over the principles of wave dashing. There's plenty of videos to go look it up. But just suffice it to say that this is the classic Mishima crouch dash, which is, oh, there's one of them right there. Forward, neutral, down, down, forward. This is the Dragon Punch from Street Fighter. This is the Electric Wind God Fist. If you're familiar with fighting games, you've seen this before. If not, it might take you some time to get used to it as a general input. But again, check out some videos on just doing crouch dash stuff like that, and then come back to this part. It's a skill that you're going to need to learn for Tekken in general. Mishima's 100% Armor King doesn't need all of these moves, but you'd be doing yourself a disservice if you didn't learn this. So check that out if you're not familiar with crouch dashing. And the principle of wave dashing is just doing that in succession. Instead of stopping it down forward, you just complete the circle and do it again. Again, I'm not very good on a D-pad. That's as fast as I can do it. But the idea is you can just do it several times and they're not sure about what's going to come out. Could just be that, it could be something much worse. So, crouch dash moves, you basically stop at the down forward position for most of these, because there is a difference. Like say this, if I just do the crouch dash motion and let it go, right? That's a while standing 4. But if I do the crouch dash motion and hold it there, that's crouch dash 4. So the difference is, in some cases, depending on the character, if you let go of the input, they'll go into crouch and they'll stand up. So you'll get access to a different move. So keep that in mind sometimes. Crouch dash 1, you gotta hold down forward 1. Because if you let it go, you'll just stop in your crouch and then stand up. So that's the best quick little lesson I have for crouch dashing, is make sure you hold the diagonal down position to input your move in these cases. So crouch dash 1 is this clothesline. Huge knockdown, plus 4, 5, 6 on block. I don't even know how much. It's a lot. It's at least 4 or 5. They don't want to challenge this at all. It's a high, but again, not reactable. They're not going to be able to just duck this all day. You're going to harass them with this. Tremendous block advantage. And if it gets hit, you do get this free throw option. They can break, they can guess the break, but it's just a guess. There's no guaranteed out of it. Crouch dash 1 is really good for keeping that pressure on. Good range because of the distance he covers. He runs, 30 feet forward in the process of doing this. Crouch dash 2, the dark upper, is basically the same thing that Mishima's have. He just doesn't get the pushback and the durya. His is -10 as theirs is if you don't nail the electric. He still has the just frame version of it, which makes it come out in 14 frames. Instead of just 15. So technically you can punish 14 stuff with this. It's just very, very hard to do that. You're going to want to practice this. This is your go-to whiff punisher in general. If you're out here right where you want to be, at about range 3, and they come at you and they make a move, boom, you need to be able to catch them with that. That's your go-to whiff punisher. That's the main reason why you need to learn crouch dashing, is because of that. Crouch dash 3 is this unblockable high kick. It looks a lot like forward 3, except it's just an unblockable version of it. Good for wall splatting. If you have them at the wall, you do your combo and just kind of like drop them, then set, and they stand up into one of those things. Just boom, resplat, just like this. Really good damage off of stuff like that. They're going to regret it. They can see it glow and then duck, but it's pretty fast. Crouch dash 3 is pretty cool. Crouch dash 4 is this knee smash with a guaranteed shoulder again. Boom. Not safe on block, but it's just there to keep them honest. If they're expecting all these things that are high, like, oh, I know the clothesline is high, I know the forward 3 is high, I'm just going to duck. They're going to catch this right in the face and wish they hadn't. If you want to be safer and keep them honest, you can just do crouch dash and let it go, as I mentioned. You don't just get while standing force. Mishimas do this all the time too. It's a quick, fast mid option, stuffs their attempt to try to be proactive against you, and keeps them from ducking all day. They don't want to keep getting hit by this. And 20 damage is actually really, really good for a while standing 4. The remaining option on a crouch dash is 1+2. Poison Mist. This is another high unblockable. In this game, it doesn't do anything necessarily other than just get you that little bit of damage and reset the situation. You don't get free follow-ups. Despite the stun it looks like they might be under, they can block. There's nothing you get for free. It just kind of like shuts it all down and goes back to start. His rage drive is connected to this, and we'll get back to that later. So as far as the crouch dash goes, that is it. And once you know how wave dashing works, the consecutive crouch dashing, you will learn how to buffer a crouch dash into forward attacks. Like that. You can basically do one crouch dash and tap forward and get access to your forward moves. Like, see, there's that gut punch. There's that low. So you can wave dash into that low. That's a really, really critical tool. Once you've mastered that at like a good level, you're going to do some dangerous shit with Armor King. Almost as dangerous as Mishima's are. He was meant to be a hybrid version. He was just a clone of regular King in the beginning, but then they kind of split him apart when he comes back in Tag 1, and they added that Mishima quality to him. The punish and the defense, the wave dash, and the high level of aggression when the game plan goes your way. So you really got to learn those. The forward attacks are all really good, and you have to learn to do them out of wave dash. That really just completes the whole package for his basic moveset. So now let's cover the rest of the moves that Armor King has, which are mostly his crouching, full standing, and sidestep stuff. As far as running moves go, his are a little bit unique. Running 3 looks like that. You get the knockdown at the end of it if they don't tech roll. So that's kind of cool, other than the swag. I mean, just look at how hard this man kicks you. That's really worth it just for the intimidation factor alone. That's a big, nasty kick to get hit with. So that's his running 3. It's just a little bit different. Running 3 plus 4 is that thing. Just a huge grip of damage. This is one of those ones that I feel is like plus 20 on block or something like that. And you don't get anything free, I don't believe, but they're just kind of stuck. They're just sort of stuck for like a minute or so, you know? It's a really kind of an interesting move. The other unique trait that he has is 4. Ooh, that wasn't even enough. His running 4 isn't a slide tackle like everyone else's. Does that. He does a running drop kick, which if it gets blocked, leaves him on the ground like all these other moves are. It's just a slightly different twist on the basic formula. A little more style. It could easily be the slide tackle, but instead it's a drop kick, because why wouldn't it be? Armor King's a badass. So for his crouching arsenal, he has 2 moves out of the full crouch state, which are down forward 2, this safe mid launcher, can't argue with that, and full crouch down forward 4. This is the same kick as down 3 plus 4 that we talked about earlier. This move that you're never going to want to do the follow-ups for, you want to just do it and stay in crouch. Well, since you stay in crouch, you can just do down forward 4 again and do it a second time. That sort of mimics King's ability to do it 3 times. King has a built-in string where he does this 3 times and then follows up with a mid. So this can be used off of this original low or any remaining crouch state. And then you duck jab, and then you have this. So those are both pretty good all around. This is launch punishable, as kicks like this are, but still a pretty good one to have. It's a good, clean mix-up between this and this. Not to mention the mid stuff that he has. Just do this to stay safe and keep it honest if you want to. The while standing moves, starting from 1, are this launcher, 15 or 16 startup, basic launcher, normal combo, all that stuff. While standing 2, a little more interesting. This is 12 frames. Doesn't do a lot of damage, but this is a counter hit launcher. They get a crumple stun that they cannot break, and you get the whole combo off them that way. So that's really, really fast. If you just kind of duck jab and stop their tracks and then go right into this, that'll stop them and counter hit them if they try to do anything against it. It's not safe. This is -11, I believe, but the potential of catching a counter hit on such a fast move is absolutely worth it. While standing 3, not very good. This is a high. If you're blocking a low and you're just going to miss, it's just not a very useful move all around. I don't even know if it's safe on block. It looks a lot like his basic standing 3. I'd stay away. While standing 4 is pretty generic. So his while standing arsenal isn't flashy. A basic launcher, a basic mid kick, a really interesting counter hit launcher, and a very interesting full crouch. Simple but straightforward. Full crouch gives you the low or the mid launcher. Really good stuff to have. So not only do you have an aggressive forward moving wave dash game, you also have a defensive bait sort of game. You know, you want to attack them and kind of bait them into jabbing back at you, and then you can just duck and hit them with stuff like that. Get the combos from there. So that's his crouching game. His sidestep game is also kind of interesting. The only thing that really stands out is the death sandwich. That's not a lie, that's what it's called. Death sandwich, I'll show you right now. It's worth proving it beyond a shadow of a doubt that that's what it's called. Death sandwich. Sidestep 2-1. Looks like this. Causes a bound move. which means it's better in this game than it was in the previous game. Because it used up your only combo mechanic in Tag 2, this case is not. You still get the bound, and you still have your screw attack. So this gets even better in this game. It's not hit confirmable, but it's whiff confirmable. If you sidestep and they did something, then yeah, go ahead and let it rip. You got them. And you get your whole combo from there. Even if you don't, this is only minus 11 or 12 on block. I think it forces their crouch. They can only do a while standing forward to punish you. Minimal risk, tremendous reward. This is a really good move overall. Even if you do get punished for it, they block it 5 times. Keep doing it. As soon as you hit them, it's worth it, you know? That's not like the highest level Korean style mindset to have, but this is Armor King. You're not worried about it. You're worried about looking like a badass more than anything else, in my opinion. This is worth it. Being able to hit people with a death sandwich, worth it. So the other move he has on the sidestep, which is this 4, sucks. This is garbage. This is a mid that is also minus 12 and it knocks down. If you're going to sidestep and risk a 12 frame Punisher, do that. This is only 11 frame Punisher and it's a well standing. The worst that can happen to you for this is Dragunov hits you with a shoulder. If you're like at the very point blank range, he can punish you with a shoulder. But again, who cares? Sidestep 4 sucks. Just do Death Sandwich. Death Sandwich better. Sidestep 3 plus 4, however, is a high. This one is also kind of useful because it's going to be safe. He's going to land on the ground, but he's going to be well out of range from it. It's not a grip of damage, but it's decent. It's enough that, you know, you get to just go right back into it. You hit him with that, you wake up and just, you know, get to be able to taunt them because you just jumped up and kicked him in the teeth. It's worth it. So Death Sandwich is really what stands out. The high kick is also decent, but not great. The last position of move Armor King has is he's got 2 unique ones out of back turned. Let's do the round out. The first one is back turn 3. This little crumple stun right there, you can get a combo from that, but be warned, this is minus 16. It might not look it might look pretty innocuous, but that kick is minus 16. Be warned about it. The other move he has from back turn is this. Not as bad. Nice knockdown, it'll wall splat. They're both mid, so what you really need is the ability to just boop, down 4, just do generic lows. You're gonna, every time you turn back turned, you keep catching them with this, they're gonna, you know, try to anticipate it. You do this, go to back turned, hit him with that low. You do this again, hit him with that low. Next time you do this, catch him with that mid, there's your combo. That's how that's supposed to work. Taking a big risk to do so, but it's totally worth it for those times that it does work out and you hold that over your opponent. You really make them think twice, or you make them think more slowly. So that's about it. The full crouch game, the while standing, are straightforward but solid at what they do. Sidestep 2-1, the death sandwich is a great move, and an interesting little twist to his back turn game. So that's the whole move list that Armor King has. Let's take a quick roundup of the moves that have the special properties. Starting with his only power crush, forward 1+2. This isn't great. It's got a good property in that they have that knockdown right in front of you and you get good wake-up situation. Bad is that it's minus 14 on block. That's a little hefty. Considering he doesn't have a high power crush to work with, his only power crush being that unsafe, kind of a drawback. So forward 1+2 is his only armor move. Despite being named Armor King, you'd think he'd have several. Go figure. His homing moves are down forward 1+2. Very good. Takes the step to the side, hits mid, homing, knockdown. Great move all around. Up back 1, does the same thing. Steps to the side. This is a high hit, so it can get ducked, but it's safe on block. Knocks them down. Good follow-ups. You get a forward for free. 45 damage every time you catch that. Great move. Another one that fits into the arsenal of they're coming at me. Let me try to avoid them real quick with the down back 3. This thing. Up back 1 also works too. Big damage. The other homing move is forward 3, which we mentioned is also a launcher now. So that's good stuff to have. This one also being +1 on block. Great move all around. So 3 homing moves are all really strong in my opinion. 2 mids, 1 mid, 2 highs. All safe, great stuff. Armor King screw attacks, he's got 6, I think, and you're really only ever going to do 2 of them. Forward 3, 4-3 is a screw attack. For 3 whole hits, you're not going to want to bother with this one. I mean, it works, but that's kind of a waste. Down forward 1+2, the homing move you saw, that's also 1. That works, but again, not enough damage to make it worth it. You're better off with other options. Down 3 plus 4, 1. This one you're going to use. This one you have to use off a certain few situations. I think this is one of them. That won't combo unless you do it that way. So down 3 plus 4, 1. That new extension, good screw attack to have. This is also the one you do off your Magic 4. So without this, you wouldn't get any kind of Magic 4 combo at all. Which is still kind of hard. Wow. I was killing it earlier. There we go. Maybe a little micro dash, whatever. Down back to 4. This is the other one. This one is going to be used in pretty much every other combo you have. You're going to use this one all day. Down back to 4. Back to 1, 2 is the only move that causes a screw attack automatically. So I guess technically that does count. Once you learn to counter hit confirm that, you will catch people with that from time to time. And the last one is forward, forward 3. As I mentioned, if Akuma happens to jump at you and you hit him, you'll get a free screw attack, but otherwise, you're not going to use that one. So that's pretty much it for special property moves. Screw attacks where you need them, 2 good ones that you're going to use all the time, 3 really good homing moves, and 1 so-so power crush. King also has a punch reversal. If you do back plus either throw, left throw, or right throw, he does that. He reverses punches, he grabs you and flips you over and does damage. The nice thing about this is if you whiff, he does that. Most of the time, they'll see you whiff a reversal, they're going to jab you or whatever. Or they're waiting for you to do something and they're going to be hop kicking in your face. In this case, you have a little bit of a window here to catch them with that. And if you do counter hit them with it, damn, that was hard. You get a combo for it. Works just like the while standing too. It looks like it's the same punch basically. Boom. So not only does he have a punch parry, if you get hit by a kick, you're going to get hit. But if you happen to just whiff entirely, you do have that to back yourself up with. Kind of a nice little thing. It's one of those things that's going to annoy them. It's going to make them regret what they just did and then think twice about it in the future. So he does have a reversal, only works on punches, and he's got a bailout version of it. So the last thing the King really has is his throw game. I'm not going to go over all of these. I'll just go through here and show you what they look like. The only real difference that we'd want to talk about would be the Oki situations and stuff that you get, you know, the position they stand up from. So let's just kind of look at the throws real quick. This is his basic left throw. We can see right away, that's a pretty good Oki. Head towards you, face up, not too bad. The 2 throw, this suplex is decent. It's just a generic looking suplex, but it has a follow-up. You're going to do Jaguar Screwdriver whenever possible. As soon as it hits, just do triple down, 1 plus 2. Bop, 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 and you get that. Nice little chunk of damage, breaks the floor too. So anytime you connect a 2 throw, you're going to do that version of it. Left throw, right throw, blah, blah, blah. This headbutt. Pop, pop, pop. That should break the floor. I'm pretty sure that also breaks floors. 40 damage from the floor break is pretty good. Tombstone Pile Driver, 100% breaks floors. This is the guy that you want. Boom, look at that. And this is one of those ones that's really hard to break. Between Tombstone, Giant Swing, and Shining Wizard, they can't break all of those. It's not possible to read what they are because the Giant Swing grabs you with both hands. It's a little unfair. So the Tombstone, the Giant Swing, the Shining Wizard are what he really wants out of the throw game. The rest of these are just icing on the cake. DDT is cool, just because it's a DDT. Does a lot of damage. Hades Drop is a nice throw, mainly because that will wall splat. If the wall is directly behind them, it's hard to watch the floor pattern, but he basically kicks them into the wall. So that'll come in handy later when we talk about his Rage Drive. One of these throws that wall splats. Good stuff. And here's the Giant Swing. Again, you can see he grabs you with both hands, telling you it's a 1 plus 2 break. It's not. It's a 1 break. So go figure. You know, you got to live in that world. You're going to have to guess his throw breaks sometimes. You cannot read them all. You can tech roll when you hit the ground and save 20 damage. You'll only do 45 if you tech that. And this is Shining Wizard is what we always call it. The running throw in the teeth. Boom. That's a 1 plus 2 break. So, like, it's really hard for you to actually read and impossible in some cases to read it correctly. He has this throw out of crouch, which is, I guess, interesting, but if you're crouching long enough to do that, I don't know why you wouldn't just hop kick or whatever instead. I'm not sure what the purpose of that is. He has throws on crouching opponents. This is good stuff. If you force them into crouching, you can pick them up, hit them for that big grip of damage. So that's a nice feature to have, is throws against crouching opponents, as well as throws against grounded opponents. Pick them back up, restand them. If he does this near the wall, he gets free damage. The frame advantage is like 13, and he gets to pop them for free. But these are all still breakable. You can guess left or right and break the throw here. So the same situation. This one is the other break. Keeps them honest. Different options for if they're on their back. If they happen to be laying down like this, you'll flip them over. They're backwards, you do this, heel hold, etc. All of these throws on laying down opponents, and then 2 throws on airborne opponents. So you can do these in combos if you want to. Catch them out of the air with a giant swing, and you get that. Catch them out of the air with the Shining Wizard, and you get this, which is what you're going to end almost every combo you do with. There's the punch reversal we talked about. And here is the sequence of chain throws that he has. Regular King has just too many of these. Armor King only has the one now. You do the crouch dash and you do either diagonal input to start the Cobra Clutch. So what happens here is, if you don't break that throw, then you're forced to guess the next segment of it. All of these are guesses. He's going to do 3 parts to the throw, basically. You have to guess at each point what the break is. I'm not even going to bother to go check on it. If you want to, you can sit in practice and find out which one is the right break, but you're going to have to guess. So what happens is if he connects this and you don't break it, you have to guess between these 3 follow-up options during Cobra Clutch. So this would be the 1+2 break. This is probably a 1 break. This is probably a 2 break. So if you guess right, you'll be out of it. If you guess wrong, he hits you with this throw and he does the next part. The flinging half Nelson doesn't have an extension after it. That's the end of the chain, so I'm thinking that's the 1+2 break. These 2, triple trouble, human necktie. You can see they say during sleeper. So if the Cobra Clutch hits and then the sleeper hits, he can do these 2. And again, this will be a 1 break. This is a 2 break probably. And same for the neck drop. If the Cobra Clutch hits and the neck drop hits, then he can do choke sleeper, 3 count pound. 1 break, 2 break. Let's just assume. Some of these might not be breakable. Some of them might be guaranteed. I don't know. But again, you can just go look it up or check it out in practice mode. What you would need to do is only recognize, oh, this is the sleeper. My next 2 options are 1 or 2. That's all you can really defend yourself with. It's always going to be a guess. There's no read. There's no tell. Just guess. So these are essentially just free damage if you guess incorrectly. If you don't break this throw, which you can break visually like all the others, he's going to get free damage if you guess correctly once or twice. You know what I mean? That's all it is. If you guess right away, you're good. If you guess wrong twice, you're going to eat 60, 70 damage. So it's just kind of a freebie if you suck at throw breaking. But that's it. That rounds out all of Armor King's moves. Really good, well-rounded character, in my opinion. He excels at coming at you offensively. Still pretty good defensively. And if he's already in close, his offense is still strong because of his throw game and because of several good counter hit options. He can use a lot of mix-up strings, but the risk taking it is probably not worth it. In my opinion, I'd rather just do nothing and go back to a little bit more neutral and then come in flying a second time. So if you can use your throws well, if you can use the shadow step stands and keep them guessing, which they made a little bit better, if you can wave dash, if you can control that space, you're going to be pretty good. And all of those sound a lot like a Mishima. That's really the kind of play style that he has. Strong fundamental grasp of the game, using the tools you have correctly, not making mistakes, and capitalizing on their mistakes. That's what this character is about. So let's recap everything I just said by showing what, in my opinion, are Armor King's best moves that exemplify that strategy and playstyle that I described. In no real order, I'm just going to kind of go through the list of what I think are the best. Forward 2-1 is really good. This is 15 frames, it's mid-high, and it can get ducked, so you do learn to hit confirm it. It's not the easiest hit confirm, nor is it the hardest. I'll turn the blocking on so you can see what happens when you fail. If you delay too much like that, they block it. If you're ready for it, the key to hit confirming is being ready for it to hit and then bailing out when it doesn't. So if you're going to assume that this is going to hit, all you do is just let it rip. And there you go. If you're going to actually wait and make the decision on whether it hits, you're going to be too late. So you have to sort of anticipate it hitting and then let it rock as soon as you see it land. And this goes well with just a general sense of it's going to hit because I saw them moving or whatever. So learn to hit confirm that. It's a really good move. Wall carrying combos, damage, good at the wall to resplat them, etc. Really good move. Safe on block this time around. It used to, if they did nothing and didn't duck it, they still got a -11 punish. It is safe now in this game as far as I can tell. So that made it even better. Really good move. Forward 4 and down back 1 +2. These are your primary frame trap moves. This one, forward 4, this is +2 on block. On top of the counter hit, getting you this ground throw, and during juggle situations, you get a nice spike. They're at the wall when you do this, they can't tech roll right there. Doesn't do a huge chunk of damage, but it does keep them from teching your next option. They have to kind of stand up and block your next mix-up. Down back 1 +2 is even more frame advantage. This is +4. Great move because of its range and the frame advantage it gives you, as well as being able to cancel it into shadow step and the crouch dash stuff, whatever you want from there. Great tool. You're going to harass them with this all day, and as soon as you think they might be getting keen to it, you can cancel it and go into other shit. Down forward 3 and up forward 3. These are your best counter hit fishing tools. This one is 17 frames. Whoops. 17 frames. Damn it. I'm not good on a D-pad. Down forward 3, 17 frames. Up forward 3, 21 frames. Both are safe on block. Both are mid. They're both knees. They can't get parried. Counter hit launchers. Really good overall tools. Up forward 3. Low crushes cleanly. Great stuff there. Down forward 1 +2. Mid homing move. Safe on block. Slightly evasive and a knockdown. Up back 1. High homing move. Safe on block. Slightly evasive. Free follow-up. 45 damage. Great stuff. Down 3. Down 4. Down 3 +4. Your almost full arsenal of low pokes. These are all that you're really going to use. I wouldn't call that much of a poke. These are pokes because this is +1 on hit. You can go right back on offense. This crushes some highs. This is going to crush some mids, as well as leaving you crouched and your ability to fish for counter hits or go low again. Those are your main low moves. Back 3 was a decent keep out move. I'd put this in the honorable mention category. It's good, but it's a high, and there's inherent risk with highs, but still a really good move all around. I think back 4 is better because the range is almost there, and you get the Stone Cold Stunner once you learn to time that just frame correctly. 35 damage and the Oki off of that for free. Really good stuff. Back 1 +2 is the shove that you get counter hit. This is free because the frame advantage is 15. Forward 3, the plus frame homing move out of wave dash. Crouch dash 1 is a plus frame knockdown. Crouch dash 2 is your best whiff punishing launcher. So once you can wave dash into all those options, really good stuff. And death sandwich is the icing on the cake. Sidestep 2-1. If you sidestep and they whiffed, you hit them with that and you're good. So I think those are a really damn good set of moves for any character to have. Take those, combined with the risky stuff, the mix-up potential, and the opponent being intimidated by getting caught by a huge boot. A really strong, well-rounded character who thrives when he can take control. Now let's get to the fun part. Launchers and combos. There's not a huge variety here. There's a basic arsenal that is really good because it's balanced. His straightforward launchers, I have a hop kick and the dark upper. Those are the ones you're basically going to use the most. Hop kick for punishing -15s, for ducking and going under that. Crouch dash 2, the dark upper is mostly going to be your go-to whiff punisher. They stop short, boom, you catch them with that. I'm going to turn off the blocking because we don't need that. Oops. It's going to get in my way from when they stand up every time. So up forward 4, crouch dash 2, capital punishment, up forward 1 +2, natural launcher, forward 3 is a new launcher in this game. Death sandwich, sidestep 2-1, the full crouch down forward 2, safe mid launcher, the back turn 3 kick is a launcher, as well as while standing 1. Those are all his natural launchers. For counter hit launchers, he has a magic 4, and that's super easy to follow up with. You can combo it, like I'm 90% sure that it's real, it's just hard. I feel like that's the only way to do it. You have to just kind of micro dash. I'm not sure. It doesn't register as a combo. Like I've done it, but I don't know what like the situation is. Maybe is it easier if I'm like off to the side? I really don't know what the difference is. Oh, I didn't know that was a thing. Sidestep 4 on counter hit? Oh, okay. Interesting. I'll have to add that one to the list. So put sidestep 4 right after magic 4. You get the same combo if you get a counter hit. I'm gonna turn it back on at this point now that I need it. That still is. 1 plus 2, 4. That second hit does the same thing. You get a counter hit there and a launcher. Back to 1, 2. Once you confirm they did something, when you throw out the first 2 hits, you let the third one rip, you get your combo that way. It is even delayable a little bit. Once it's not a natural combo at that point, but if it's a counter hit, it should still be okay. You have plenty of time to tell, did they do something? Let it rock. Down forward 3 and up forward 3. Both counter hit launchers, as we mentioned. Also, down back 3 is a counter hit launcher. You just kind of wish it were a natural launcher for as unsafe as it is. Forward neutral 2 causes that crumple stun, and while standing 2 causes that crumple stun. So those are your counter hit launchers. They're all really good all around. These 2 knees are good at fishing for counter hits in your opponent's offense. You stop them short with the while standing version. Even your attack, if you're coming at them and they feel like they want to stuff your attack, that low, great for catching them off guard. So this is a pretty good arsenal of launchers all around for a balanced character to have. As far as the combos go, get the best combo from the Dark Upper because it launches a little bit higher and its recovery is a bit better. It's good enough, in fact, that you can get the clothesline as your first hit for a little cinematic combo. It looks like this. And then you can run up with the Shining Wizard or forward 2-1 for your wall carry. So to recap, that is crouch dash 1 is your first hit, then a down forward 1, 1 plus 2, 2, then down back 2, 4. And this part, this middle section, is from the combo in the last game. It's almost exactly the same. You just used to use up forward 3 in it instead. Now you can get the clothesline, which is a little bit better. Down back 2, 4 is that go-to screw attack. But because you've used 6 hits already, you've got nothing left when you get to the end. You pretty much have to just run up and Shining Wizard. But if you run up close enough, because this has such a nice juicy hitbox, you can run up and forward 2-1 and get the extra wall carry that way. Really practical move. You can get almost any wall with that technique. Most of the other combos you get, as I mentioned, you only want to get that off the Dark Upper, and you get it off of this counter hit, down forward 3, because they're left standing. Like that. You get the same combo that way. Otherwise, you can't do the clothesline. I feel like technically you can do it off a crouch dash or the hop kick. It's just really, really hard, and I don't recommend wasting your time. You're going to miss it even once you've practiced more than you do. Instead of the crouch dash 1, I would just do a down forward 3 on these launchers. That applies to the hop kick, the death sandwich, the while standing 1, the counter hit on forward neutral 2, and while standing 2. You do your first hit as down forward 3, and the rest is the same. Like that. You have to do that for a couple of these other ones. The crumple stuns, you won't really have any other choice. Say the counter hit on this one. Then that one can miss at the end sometimes, like you just saw. The trick there is to delay the down forward 3 as best you can. I don't know if I can illustrate that. If you do this right away, they kind of pop up to your eye level. If you wait, it seems like they pop all the way back up to your eye level, which kind of adjusts the timing. So I would recommend delaying your down forward 3 just the tiniest little bit in these combos. I don't know, it's a little bit picky. You'll learn how to do it. I was never good at that combo in Tag 2 in the first place. You used to do this, and then down 2 is your bound move. I was never good at that, but once you get practice in enough, it's pretty straightforward. So the B&B combo is down forward 3, down forward 1, 1 plus 2, 2, and then down back 2, 4 for the screw attack. Those 2 launchers that I mentioned, you can replace the first hit with those line of 2. Some other options are the full crouch, down forward 2, and capital punishment. You cannot do the clothesline or the down forward 3 off of those. You pretty much just skip it and go right to the down forward 1 part. The rest is the same. Down forward 1, 1 plus 2, 2, down back 2, 4, Shining Wizard. Damage is really, really good, no matter what you do. You can do some other things like, round out 2 to end the combo. Shining Wizard's still better. And again, if you need the wall carry, you can always just run up and do forward 2-1. That works well too. Other combo variations you're going to need to use, say for example, the counter hit on up forward 3. See, they stun, but they fall backwards. You're not going to be able to pick them up in the conventional way, so you do this. Down plus 3, 4, and then 1. That'll screw attack right away. You're also going to probably do this off of the back turned 3. because you have to turn yourself around. You don't have time for most of the other options. You can mess around with it and find something you find is more comfortable, but down 3+4-1 is a pretty reliable go-to for those combos. Since you're doing the screw attack after the second hit, you don't get quite the same ender, but you basically do. You know, you can just cut out the down forward 1 part. So that would look like this. And then do that. Same 1+2-2, and then do down back to 3 for a little extra damage, or 2-4. Works the same way. Is that... That's actually the same, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Go figure. So you just cut out down forward 1 because that's later in the combo. The same thing. Down forward 1, 1+2-2 appears in all these combos. Sometimes in the beginning, sometimes after the screw. Forward 3, you combo the same way. Except in this case, you're a little bit off axis. So instead of cutting out the down forward 1, you cut out the 1+2-2. The rest of it's the same. So again, looks like this. And then down back 2 to end it. Counter hit on the back 2-1-2. This is the only one that does your screw attack right away. So since you have the distance and the time, you can bring back your clothesline. That, down forward 1. Or then do the whole sequence again. The 1+2-2 and the down back ender. Damn it. Like that. Same exact combo that you did. Clothesline, down forward 1, 1+2-2, down back 2-3. Exact same combo, but you're doing it all after the screw attack in this case. The only other unique combo you're going to see is the counter hit off of down back 3, and you kind of have to do while standing 4 right there. Whoops. While standing 4, and then your screw attack. Then whatever you feel after that. The difference here is that because you recover crouching, your choices are limited. But because you recover crouching, you can do the full crouch version of that and get options that way. It's up to you. I'm used to doing the while standing 4 combo from the last game. It just depends on what you feel like you need. You can get more damage by doing this combo. Say run up, jab, and then Shining Wizard at the end, like an instant Shining Wizard while they're still in the air. That works really well, but it's kind of hard to do. So play around with that one too. You have 2 basic options, while standing 4 to screw attack or full crouch into screw attack. But that's pretty much it. They all use the same tool set. The basic combo is the same idea no matter what you do. There's a couple little variations based on what it is that you did. You always want to end with the Shining Wizard for damage, or just run up and forward 2-1 for wall carry. So let's take a look at wall combos, which are almost all exactly like they were in the last game. Oops, missed it. 1, down forward 1, shoulder. Was an old combo in the last game, worked really well. You can get a little more damage in this game by using that new string we mentioned, down to 4-3. Slightly more damage. The Oki situation is just about the same, nothing special there. So if you're comfortable with the old combo, that still totally works. You can omit the jab if you don't get there in time, still works. Down 2-4-3 if you don't get there in time is a little tougher to land, so be careful. The other basic option you have is just jab, ground throw. Now that's the one ground throw, which this is going to do the most damage out of the 3 options. That one ground throw coughs up your wall position, as you can see. So you don't want to do that. The only reason you would do that is because the throw's a mix-up. They can guess 1 or 2 to break. The throw that you do want is this. That 2 throw picks them up and slams them back into the wall. Whereas I think I mentioned earlier, your frame advantage there is about 13. So you got 13 frames to do whatever you want, which means this is free. So it'll look like this again. 2 throw, back 1-2. That is free. They can't do anything about that. It's the same amount of damage you get from the 1 throw, so it's just about the mix-up game. You want this one because you don't cough up your wall position, but they know that you want this one, so they're probably going to break 2. So if you do the 1 throw, you get it that way, etc. That's pretty much your basic set of options. The throw gets you the most damage at the risk of not getting that damage. Down 2-4-3 is pretty consistent all-around damage. Your other choices are this down back 1+2 gives you that new head toward face down tech roll reset situation. It's not as much damage, and honestly I don't know what you should do right there. If they don't tech roll that, they're stuck with their head on the ground, and you should have things you can hit them with. I just don't know exactly what those would be for him. You'd want characters like this shoulder might be a good one. Honestly I don't know. If they don't tech roll, does the shoulder hit? Probably not. I'm not really sure what you want there. Yeah, see, that doesn't hit grounded. That's what you'd want to look for right there. I don't know what the answer is for this character yet. So play around, try some other choices, see what it is you can find. Something that'll hit them grounded if they don't tech roll correctly. That down back 1+2, that's also going to be your go-to floor break. You could use forward 4 if you wanted to do so either. Those are your 2 floor breaks. As far as wall breaks, the shoulder combo would work. You could just shoulder and break the wall that way. So that's pretty much it. The old wall combos are about the same. You have the throw mix up, and you can't really ask for too much better. Even if you do, you know, just end on the ground, you have plenty of opportunities to just do more damage. The crouch dash unblockable is good. The throw mix up, they're going to be trapped at the wall. So 3 options, a reliable one, slightly more damage, and then the more damage throw mix up, and then 2 for a floor break, and as well as the head first reset situation. So all that leaves is the wall bounce. King's wall bounce move is forward, forward, 4. Let me get to the right little spot here. One more. Ooh, not quite far enough. Forward, forward, 4. Forward, 2, 1. That's pretty much all you're going to want to do. That works all the way out and all the way back in, does the best amount of damage. The only thing that would be any different is if you happen to be super, super close. That won't work as well because you'll hit the wall and them at the same time. Won't work as well. So I guess you could just, if you got the wall bounce up close, you could just do something like that. You can also go sideways, like you just saw kind of happen all of its own. You get the bounce and then you kind of sidestep and hit into the wall that way. Play around with it, find something that's comfortable. But really, when you're up close, a lot of characters just do a magic 4 or whatever and slap them back to the wall and do the combo that way. But if you're out in the open, forward 2, 1 is your best way to get back to the wall, preserving your screw attack for the rest of it. So that's about it for combos. Pretty simple combo paths, very few variations to it. Once you learn the basic combo, you just learn the slight different variations for the different launchers. Not too complicated, nothing is too hard in there. You really got to learn how to run all the way up in time for the Shining Wizard. That's about it. They're pretty straightforward. Once you get down to it, you'll have no problems doing it again from that point. So that now brings us to the final wrench in the toolbox, which are the rage attacks. Let's take a look at the move list real quick. Go back to the top. There, back 3+4 is his rage art. No, I'd turn rage on. Back 3+4 is basically a quick version of his running 3, and you can see he's airborne, so he will completely avoid lows right there. He won't take chip damage from those lows. But other than that, it hits mid, it's going to be launch punishable like all of the rest, 55 to 85 damage, etc. Nothing special about it, other than the unbelievable amount of style contained therein. The boot, the giant swing up into the air, that huge uppercut, and then boom. That's like 5 Street Fighter characters it takes to pull that shit off. Really cool rage art. It maybe takes a little bit too long, but I don't care. It's worth it. Now, where it really kind of sets itself apart is the rage drive. We learned earlier, maybe I didn't mention this. No, I had to have. Crouch dash 1+2 is the poison mist. Does 13, 14 damage. 13 damage and no follow-ups. However, if you hold it in, if you do the same motion and hold it in, you get the rage version. You notice now that did 0 damage. So you got to ask yourself what the difference was. On the basic version of it, you don't get any kind of follow-ups for free. They're staggered, but they can block. So you get nothing for free, you just get the frame advantage. This case is the same, they can still block. They can't sidestep or duck or anything, all they can do is block. So since you can't duck, a throw option is free. Now you might ask yourself, what difference does that make? Well, let me go take a look and show you that right there, opponent throw escapes was turned on, but you'll notice he didn't escape that throw. What the Rage Drive version of Poison Mist does is make your throw untechable if you connect it in time. You don't have forever, but if you get there in that window, your throw cannot be teched. And then the Jaguar Screwdriver, boom. So, that's a really, really weird situation, and I like that it's connected to throws for the grappler character. I think that's really cool. It just turns out to be kind of impractical and really hard. So you ask yourself what you can get with all of this. Instant Shining Wizard is one of them. 40 damage that way. Oh, so it's too late there. See, giant swing doesn't reach. You got to take a nice little dash there. There it is. Giant swing connects, didn't break. So that giant swing was free. They couldn't get out of that. So again, what do you get from all of this? You get a free throw opportunity. But that's where it begins and ends, since he doesn't have any combo starter throws, like a character like Marduk or Law would have, right? But he does if you can use the environment. If you're on Forgotten Realm, which has the floor breaks, you can do the Jaguar Screwdriver or Tombstone Pile Driver, which do break the floor. I'm going to take a couple tries. I've not practiced this a million times. It's going to be hard, but you can do the Rage Drive, Micro Dash, and then Tombstone. Let me show you Tombstone real quick. It's down, back, and then forward, and the 2 throw. Where is it? Right there. This is what you want. This is 58 damage. Unlike the giant swing, which they can mitigate some of that damage, this one they cannot. This is 58, and it will break the floor. So this is the one that you want to do in almost every situation because it's going to be the best damage you can get, especially on the floor break. So I'm going to try this a couple times. I'm not going to obsess over doing it. And if you miss it, you just get a 2 throw basically for 38 damage instead of 58. There it is. Tombstone. 58 damage. They can't do shit about that. And it breaks the floor, and so you get to start the whole combo game when you get down below. That's going to be an amazing amount of damage when you catch that. But it only works on the floor break. So your other option is if you have a wall break. And in that case, the only one that I know of that breaks walls is the Hades drop. It's kind of hard to do again. That will kick them into the wall and a wall splat them backwards. And then you can do like a shoulder, maybe break the wall. I'm not even 100% sure you can break the wall because they might start to fall in time, but that'd be the only choice that I'm aware of. If you want to mess around with other throws and see if you can find one, I couldn't. Nothing I found could wall splat. But that's what you get from your Rage Drive, is a free throw chance. And if you're on Forbidden Realm, look out because a Tombstone is coming at you and you can't do anything about it. This is unblockable. It's still, even if you hold it in, it's still an unblockable high. Damn it. Just like the normal version of it, it is unblockable. They're going to get hit by it. So that's kind of interesting. If you have that rage and they're just not keen on it, if they fail to duck in time, you just get that for free, and then you get to throw, etc. So that's a really, really unique Rage Drive. It takes a lot of practice, but you can see there, you know, a couple of tries and I got it figured out. It's just, it's not easy. And if you fail going for Tombstone, you get the 2 throw and you can do Jaguar Screwdriver instead. No big deal, but you really need to work on landing Tombstone. So the drawback is if you don't have a floor break or a wall break, you're getting shit damage for spending your rage. You get almost nothing out of it. It does have some weird combo properties that I've seen in some videos already. Like you can use it to restand situations. I've just not messed with it yet. Like when they almost hit the ground, you can do that and it'll like kind of let you hit them again. It's hard to describe. It really is. Check out some combo videos on Twitter and you'll probably see what I mean. But as far as in combos, I really don't know how to use this yet. It's not even going to boost damage. It's really just kind of like one extra little continuation of it. It's really biggest asset is the ability to just be unblockable damage when you have rage. So if you're in a combo situation, you need to end the combo, you can go ahead and use the Rage Art because you don't have a Rage Drive that gets you that super bonus unscaled damage like regular King or Brian and stuff have. But his is very unique. No one else has an unblockable Rage Drive that's worth 58 damage once you're good at it. So you do need to practice several things to be good with this character. That is one of them. So I think that really kind of completes the puzzle very well. The fact that he has a totally unique Rage Drive that's based around throws. I think that's really cool. So this is a character who, much like Mishima's, really shines when he's in control. When your spacing is strong, when you're playing good defense, you're punishing well, and you're controlling momentum. You want to stay out here, and then you want to come flying at him with your attacks. If you're inside, you have some get away from me tools, but you really want to kind of just back up, wait for them to make a mistake, and if they don't make a mistake, come right back at them with that good shit again. So if you're able to run that kind of game plan, this character is really, really scary. The damage is good, the potential is good. There's some risks, but as I mentioned before, go ahead and take those risks because it's worth it to take control of the match mentally of your opponent. They're going to stop getting... They want to stop getting hit by things, and they're going to have to think twice. And as I said before, if you're thinking twice, you're thinking slowly. So controlling the match is key, which requires good fundamentals. This might be a straightforward character, but you really need to understand Tekken to make him excel, and you need to understand how his toolkit works. So I hope that describes it well enough for you. I try not to be too super technical with all of these things, but rather rely on the basics of fighting games and what it means to have frame advantage and wake up, blah, blah, blah. So I hope that helps you out a little bit. Check them out. Take them out online, start getting away with some gimmicky stuff, and then realize, oh, people know how to do with this gimmicky stuff. You'll find there's still really, really good stuff in behind it. And then when you focus on, like, say, my top moves, for example, in your wave dash game, you'll still do really well. You can be a fraud with this character, but you can also be really strong and really solid with this character. So hopefully this helps you get from one to the other and you have a good time with it. So thank you again for watching. Please subscribe to the channel down below. You can check me out streaming live when I do Tekken tournaments on weekends here and in neighboring areas, as well as during the week when I just play random other stuff. That is at twitch.tv/mastermind6000, and all of my social media, Facebook, Twitter, they're all the same thing. So check all those out, and thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.